Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. We have our first day of our 24/7 challenge. I'm very, very excited to be live streaming with you all for the next 7 days. Somebody just asked, where do I watch? I'm looking for the link. It should just be up here, ready to go. Kirsten. So let me know in the comments if we are good to go and you're all able to join on in here. We do have another 5 minutes. I always love to come in about 5 minutes early just to give us a little bit of a chance to answer any questions, get ourselves situated on our mats, and really kind of peacefully make our way into class without feeling very rushed. So take your time coming in. We have plenty of time. Good morning, Kayla. Any chance this one is prenatal friendly? I will always cue prenatal modifications. So yes, this will be. We aren't going to do anything on your stomachs, and we're not going to be doing full roll downs today. We're going to be doing kind of a halfway hold. So that being said, also, I know that because this class is free for everyone, I know we're going to have a ton of new people showing up. So if you are new, come in and say hi, and let me know if you do have a ball. If not, I would love you to grab either a rolled up towel or a pillow. I'll restate this again right before we go live again when everybody else joins, but you can use that as a dupe instead, and you can actually use it without a ball for today if you like as well. So, all right, we have tons of comments. I love it. First live, excited, holiday, hello from Beirut, excited for this challenge. It's exactly what I need to stay motivated during the craziness of the holidays. I know the holidays are crazy. This is why this challenge has been so impactful. And when we did it last year, it was just such a great reminder of the power of a little bit of movement, what it can really do to kind of get you set up, give you more energy, get you feeling really good, knowing that you don't have to do a ton of exercise to get this feeling, because we also don't really have that time right now, right? So we're kind of pressed in on time. So we're gonna be moving. All right, I'm just checking to see if anybody has any questions here. Any chance you could move your computer? I just did. Thank you. I saw that. Okay. So, all right. I see so many familiar faces, and I know if you have been live streaming with us for a while, we were on yesterday as well. So I'm very excited to be routinely seeing you. And if you do have any questions about anything about the movements or the app or the method or anything about something personally as well, this is a great opportunity at the end of class to ask away whatever you may have as well. So, all right, first live today, should we be using the weighted ball? I would love you to use any ball that you like. I'm using my 2-pound weighted ball today, but like I said, you can absolutely use a dupe. If you don't have that, you can use a rolled up towel, a pillow, anything like that as well. So let me just double check to see if we're all here. I love that people are saying hi to friends. That is amazing. I love to see it. We have about a couple more minutes here, so I'm going to give it like 1 more minute, and then we're going to kind of go over again some of the details of today's class, and we're going to be very impactful in the 20 minutes that we have. We're going to do a little bit of everything. I'm going to cue you through everything, try to really listen to my cues, implement them into your body, and then we can circle back at the end and talk about any questions we have. Okay? So let me see here. All right, hi from Germany. First live back after resubscribing for the year. I love it. Welcome back. And also just letting you know that throughout this entire live stream week of the 24/7 challenge, we're going to be giving away some sort of Be the Method swag. Oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. We're going to be giving away some Be the Method swag for anybody who comments. So we are going to be like choosing somebody per class to give away some swag to. So I think today we're giving away a nice little Be the Method hat. So comment in here, and then we'll pick somebody. We'll let you know who the winner is, and then we'll send that off to you. So we're going to be doing that every day. So make sure that you're commenting in there. Thoughts on breathing in and out through the nose? Absolutely. It is a great way to breathe that way. So yes, you can definitely breathe in through your nose, out through your nose as well. We'll be focusing on lateral breathing today also. So this is expansive breathing through the chest. We're going to try to keep the core really nice and active. I will cue you through that as well. So Welcome to everybody joining on. I'm going to give it one more minute here because I know that if you are new, you're not necessarily as familiar with us joining on 5 minutes before and talking about anything and just getting ourselves situated. So I'm just going to wait till like 10:31. We'll get the entire 20-minute class in. But if you do have any questions, you can throw them in the comments. Say hi. Make sure that your comment is in there so that we can enter you to win this hat, because it is amazing and I love it so much, and I'm excited to get these out to you. Love it, love it. Okay, so today's class, we're doing 20-minute fundamentals. If you have been around for a very long time, you know that fundamentals does not mean easy. It actually is such a great reminder to tap into the fundamental movements of Be the Method, the cueing, the positioning, and really nailing down what it is to find good form, to activate a deeper layer of muscle. So that's what we're gonna try to achieve today. If you are brand new, this is a great way to just start to feel your body and move in a very specific way in terms of like what we are doing here, and tap into a different muscle layer and have fun with it also. So if you are new and you have questions at the end about anything else having to do with the method, we can go ahead and answer those. But I do want to make sure that we are going to stick with our time frame here, because the whole point of this is to impactfully move in those 20 minutes and really get as much as we can. So let's make our way over to the mat. Like I said, 20 minutes today. If you don't have a ball, you can go ahead and grab a pillow, rolled up pillow, or a towel, or you can also do this without. I'll cue you ways to do that without. Okay. Getting hydrated. Let's make our way over to the mat. All right, my ball is off to the side to start. We're gonna do a full 20 minutes starting now. So we're gonna take your knees a little bit wider than hip distance apart, and your toes are gonna tuck underneath, and I'm gonna have you squeeze your heels together. So we're gonna start by taking your hands down by your side. We're gonna lift up through the waist. I want you to feel this nice activation through the pelvic floor, and then drop the hands down. So let's go into this lift. And then down. What I want you to do is start to breathe. We're gonna think in through the nose, out through the mouth. We're gonna find expansive breathing, open chest, but a nice connection through the core. And then we're gonna work on getting yourself into a neutral pelvis. Okay, so trying not to arch the spine and trying not to tuck the pelvis. Then we're gonna start to press your hands back. We're gonna go into a slight hinge, swoop the hands up, take your hands back, opening up in the chest, and then swoop it up. So we're trying to create your own resistance through space here. So even though we don't have weights in your arms, I want you to still feel how we can activate those triceps, the lats. We're connecting them to the core and up. So feeling this engagement and magnetism in between your legs and core are supporting the lift of the body. Let's do a few more here. So we're thinking about taking momentum out of the movement, slowing down, making it very impactful here in every little movement. Now we're gonna add a little lift of the arm. We're gonna go back, and then we're gonna go slight lift. Taking the hands back as we hinge, slight lift up through here. You're gonna feel how the arms are connected to the obliques. We're gonna get the deltoids, biceps, triceps, and back here, focusing on postural work as well. So your head is a piece of the spine. Let's go back and up. Let's do a few more here. Good, 2 more. So I'm not necessarily sitting on my feet, and if you prefer to take your toes down to the floor, if the tucked under doesn't feel right, you can absolutely do so. Now we're gonna hold a slight hinge, take your hands back. We're gonna stretch the hands up. We're gonna go back. Now we're really isolating the body in space here. Find that connection through the core. Remember, we're checking in with the spine, so we don't want to feel a tuck in the core so that we're collapsing in the chest. We want to really feel this nice expansive body. And breathing. Good. Let's do a few more here. Good, 2 more. We want to feel the glutes working, but we don't want to clench the glutes. We want to feel the core here as well. We're going to take your hands forward. We're going to stretch one hand all the way up. We're going to find a rotation and forward here. So we're going to take the opposite arm up and around and forward. We're still finding length out through the tailbone. We're using your core to find this rotation of the body. And let's go up and around. Up and around. And then we're gonna lift yourself up through here. Find a slight hinge again. I'm feeling my chest kind of going over my knees, but sliding the heels backwards, tiny pulses back with those arms. We're keeping a soft elbow. I don't want you to lock into the joints. I want you to feel how the muscles are really doing the work here, okay? It doesn't have to be fast. It can be really slow as well. Good, keep going. Breathing through, let's do a couple more here. And then do tiny squeezes of those thumbs behind the body. So the positioning here, you're gonna do a tiny squeeze. We're opening up the chest, remembering that we're not popping it out like this, okay? So see how I'm taking my chest open, or also not tucking forward, which collapses in the core and makes the pelvic floor a little bit tighter. So we wanna feel this nice expansive chest. Good, let's do a few more. And then we're gonna circle those hands around, slide the hands back. Let's go up and around and then back. So we're just feeling a nice expansive chest opening around. 2 more here. And then last one. And then down. We're gonna make your way onto your hands and knees. Now, if you do have a ball, you can take one ball underneath your hand. You can also equally take both hands down if you don't, okay? So the ball makes it a little bit more challenging here. We're gonna take a deep inhale, round up into your cat stretch. We can unfold your toes. Exhale, let's go cow stretch. Push through that ball. We're gonna round up. We're keeping your elbows slightly soft. And then open. One more deep inhale. We're gonna round it up, and then we're gonna exhale and find a neutral pelvis where your neutral spine is through here. We're gonna bend your elbows and then take your hand up. So we're keeping your chest isolated down to the floor, feeling the lats here, feeling how your core is supporting the upper body. Good, let's do 2 more. And then 1 more here. Now we're gonna tuck your toes underneath, and we're gonna do a tiny hover of both knees. So we're gonna go up and then down. Now this is too challenging because it's a lot of transverse abdominis. You're gonna take your hands down to the floor and just go here. Okay, this is a little bit more of a fundamental move. The ball makes it slightly more challenging to lift. We wanna focus on how the core starts the movement first and foremost. And 1 more. Good. Let's sit yourself back into a child's pose. Reach out through your arms. From here, we're gonna roll yourself forward and then take the hand underneath the opposite arm. Okay, starting with your cat stretch. Deep inhale, round up cat stretch. Exhale, open. Let's go deep inhale, round up. Exhale, open. So we're creating some mobility in the body so that when we round up and find neutral, we're activated through that transverse, which is a core set muscle, protecting the back, activating the core. Let's go down and up. Okay, remember we're not locking in. See how my elbow goes hyperextended there? You want to catch it right before that point. Start to tuck your toes underneath. We're going to hover the knees up, drop it down. Okay, hover and down, really finding that deep activation of your core for support. 2 more. Let's do 1 more here. Good. Unfold your toes, sliding yourself all the way out. So no, you can do this without a ball. Same thing applies here. Child's pose. We're gonna roll yourself forward and take the ball underneath one hand. So I'm gonna face you. I'm gonna take my right arm down, right foot underneath. Hand is on the ball. If you don't have it, we're gonna go up onto your fingertips. We're gonna extend through your leg. We're gonna flex the feet. I want you to open up in the chest, open up in those hips. We're gonna drop the knee down. We're gonna push through this bottom arm, lift, activate the core here, dip, stretch out through that leg. So we're gonna go down. We wanna really feel how the core is supporting this movement and we're not sinking into the shoulders. So when we are pushing it up, we're not going here. Okay, see the difference? My leg can maybe go higher, but I'm not holding that support of the body. And then out. Good. Let's go down, up. So the hand is slightly turned inwards. It's not completely parallel, and it's not in that 90. It's kind of that halfway point. Good. Let's do one more. Up. And then out. My chest is down to the floor. We're going to go tiny pulses up As we're pulsing this leg, we want to keep a strong spine, lift it up off the shoulders. Try not to collapse here, okay? Activate those lats to really support the body. So we don't want to go here. See how my body is moving with it? We want to isolate the body and allow that hip to open up. Tiny movements. Good. We're breathing through here as well. Elongate out through the neck. Give your jaw a little break here. Make sure you're still breathing. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. We're dropping the knee down, sitting yourself into a child's pose, reaching your arms all the way out. And then let's roll yourself up. I'm going to flip around to give you the same view on the opposite side. Ball goes underneath your hand, and we're going to turn that arm in. So this is 90, 90. We're going to go on that halfway point, tucking that toe underneath. Expanding through the body. Now I want you to reach out through that heel, open up in the chest, leg goes out in line with the body. Dropping the knee down, pushing up with that left arm. Okay, so we're going to take the arm that's down to the floor. You're going to use tricep, lats, core here to support the lift. Good. So the whole time you're thinking about this oppositional position here as well, like how we can expand through the body, expand through the spine, really still lifting up through the core, up. Good. 2 more here. Breathing through as well. Good, 1 more. Up. And then out. Now we're going to do tiny pulses. Remember that the ball here makes it a little bit unstable for this arm, makes it a little bit more challenging, but really you can take your hand down if you need a little bit more support there. You can see how the ground, because it's not spherical like that, really gives you a good base. Okay, so you can choose which one. Let's keep going, pushing out through your heel. Making sure that we're not sinking into the back, sinking into the chest, lifting up through the core. Let's do a few more. Good, nice. And then dropping that foot down and taking yourself into your child's pose. Deep inhale and exhale. And let's roll yourself up 1 vertebrae at a time. We're going to take your feet to the front, and we're going to take your feet about hip distance apart. So I'm going to be using the ball in between my knees as a pelvic floor inner thigh activator. If you don't have one, try not to allow the knees just to squeeze together. We want to feel this magnetism coming from the pelvic floor through this tiny squeeze and a slight external rotation. Stretching your hands out in front of you. We're going to scoop and roll down halfway. So we're going to find this halfway peel and then lift yourself up. So we are going to allow a slight tuck in the bottom half of your body, the tailbone here, but we're not collapsing in the chest. So we're keeping the chest nice and open and lift. Now, if you are pregnant or you just need a little bit more support at the back, your ball underneath your lower back will really provide that support. You're not using it as kind of a place to bounce, on and off with. You're really pushing through your core into the ball, so you can do that as well. Okay, and scoop and roll. Good, and I want you to feel how we're finding the pelvic floor, but we're not clenching and tightening here without breath. So you're still allowing yourself to breathe, creating this nice support of the transverse, releasing through the hip flexors by finding energy in your heels down to the floor and into the body. So we're turning on kind of that posterior side of the body. Let's do 1 more here. Good, and then we're going to hold halfway. We're going to take your hands into almost like a ballet position here with the middle fingers tapped. We're going to stretch the hands out to the side, come back to center. Let's lift and down. Now the key is to modify the movements to make them small so that the spine and the hold of the body becomes first. So if you start to see how you're going here and see how my body is moving to get my arms in the position, bread loafing the core, make the movements small. It's more important to find this activation. Okay, we're opening the arms. Becomes very intense, very intentional as well. Good, let's do 2 more. Good. And 1 more. Good. And lift. Beautiful. Stretching your hands out in front of you. Let's peel yourself down halfway. and then roll yourself all the way back up. Now we're gonna connect your heels. We're gonna find this external rotation like a little mini, like diamond shape there. Hands in front of you, scooping yourself down halfway. We're gonna feel this wrap through here. So try to turn off those hip flexors and fire up the glutes. Hands back into that circular position. We're gonna go into a figure eight. We're twisting, lifting up and then twisting in the opposite direction. Now I want you to check in with your knees. This is where you're gonna find your range of motion. If you start to feel like your knees are twisting in the opposite direction as you're twisting, scale back the movement because we wanna really isolate where the knees are. Allow this belly button up to do the movement. Okay, let's go. Twist and twist. And now we're gonna twist, but we're gonna draw the arms in like we're kind of like bending the elbows, back up to center. Twist, back through center. Almost like we're kind of pushing out with the arms, but keeping the spine nice and controlled here. We have one more each side. Good, last one. We're gonna take your hands here, slowly roll down halfway. Let's lift yourself up. We're gonna make our way down to the floor, so you can either do this in a full roll down or you can just meet us flat onto the back if that doesn't feel right. Peeling yourself down, drawing your knees into your chest and giving yourself a hug. Now we're gonna take your heels together. Ball is gonna be between your knees. Tabletop here is a little bit more elevated in the feet, so we're not gonna go down here. We're gonna lift the knees up or lift the feet up a little bit higher. Both hands come behind your head. We're gonna do a tiny curl. You can also do this with your head down to the floor with a pillow underneath your neck. It's a great pregnancy modification there. We're gonna do a dip of your hips down. So it's really movement from the hips, no movement from the knees. Okay, so this shape stays really nice and controlled. And then I want you to feel how we're not pushing the back into the mat. We're lengthening out through the core, finding that neutral pelvis. Ribs stay together, core stays intact. Okay, you can always do this with your head down as well. Okay, let's do two more. One more here. Good, and we're gonna take your hands out to the side. We're gonna do a slight rock of your legs over to the right. Let's come back to center. Slight rock of your legs over to the left. Back to center. What we're doing is still maintaining neutral, keeping your shoulders down to the floor. So we're not allowing your shoulders to lift. You can do your range of motion that feels right for you here as well. Okay, and twist. Breathing, check in with that jaw. Okay, make sure we're not holding any tension in the neck, in the jaw. Take some of that energy into the core here. Okay, over to the side. Good. And let's do one more each side. Good, really nice. And then we're gonna drop your feet down, keeping your hands out into a T, slowly peeling your hips up. We're squeezing the heels together, so we're still feeling the slight external rotation, and then slowly rolling yourself down, one vertebrae at a time. Now this is friendly for everybody. It's just about how high you lift. I want you to feel like you're leading with your core. We're not clenching the glutes and we're not trying to get to that top point. You can see the strain on the back. So really it's about activating that multifidus muscle up and down your spine, using the deep core to find support here while still getting pelvic floor, inner thigh, and then all the way down. When we think of pelvic floor, we're thinking vaginal, anal lift up and in, but you also want to be able to release, okay? So when the exertion happens, that's when we're finding that nice lift, releasing when we go down. Okay, let's do two more. Good. And then we have one more. Let's lift it up here and hold. We're gonna take your hands into a prayer. We're gonna bend the elbows slightly up over your head. It just gives you a more length out of the core through here. We're gonna dip one hip down and up, opposite hip down and lift. We're gonna try not to move the knees at all. Now, you can also take your hands for support. Okay, so depending on how you're feeling, we obviously don't wanna take it into your back. The back is working, but through that activation of the core first. So play around with what arm feels best for you. and up. Good. Let's do a couple more each side. Breathing through. One more each side. Keeping those heels squeezed. Now from here, stretching your hands up over your head, we're going to circle them around. Take your pinkies underneath your body. We're going to dip, tap, and then lift. Give your shoulders a little massage here. Dip and lift. We have a few more. Good. 2 more. 1 more here. And then we're going to stretch those hands up over your head. Big reach out of the fingertips. Peel yourself down 1 vertebrae at a time. Let's circle those hands around, drawing your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. We're going to roll over onto your side. Now you can do this on your elbow, or you can do this up on your hand. Okay, the hand makes it a little bit more challenging. It's a little bit more support of the shoulders. Down on your elbow is a little bit friendlier for the shoulders. I'll show you on the elbow first, and then I'll get up. We're going to take your hips up. Hips, shoulders, head, 1 straight line, knees at a slight diagonal, feet back and together. Stretching your hand out. We're going to do a little dip and lift of the hips. Okay, so same thing here, really isolating in a neutral pelvis. Okay, I say this all too frequently when it's movement coming from the shoulder, really damaging for that shoulder. We want to protect the shoulder, activate this deep low transverse, obliques, finding support here. Okay, keep going from there. If you're doing it up on your hand, same thing applies. Hand underneath your shoulder, still staying lifted. Also, still not dipping into that shoulder. Okay, 1 more here. Good, we're gonna lift up and over. Sit yourself off to the side. Swoop the hands back, forward, and center into your child's pose. And then slowly rolling yourself up. We're gonna go over to that opposite side. Ball stays between the knees. It's going to keep yourself very nice and supported through the hips so that we're finding that position that's very neutral, stretching it up through here, lifting up off your shoulders, tiny dip and lift, dip and lift. Good, so we're keeping, remember, hip, shoulder, head, 1 straight line, neutral pelvis. We're not collapsing here. We're also not arching. Okay, keep it nice and controlled. Trying also not to dip into your shoulder, so this is your arm up version. Okay, keep going. A couple more here and then we're done. Good, 1 more. Lifting up and over, sitting yourself all the way over to the side. Swooping your hands forward. Let's sit yourself back, peeling yourself up 1 vertebrae at a time. We can take the ball off to the side. We're gonna take your knees out wide, taking yourself into a child's pose. From here, we're gonna roll yourself forward. Knees don't have to be super wide because we wanna allow yourself to kind of roll through the body. Sit your hips back, peeling through, get full articulation, but still activating the core. Roll the shoulders back, pushing through the lats. 1 more here. Sitting yourself back, stretching out through those arms. We're going to take your hands onto your shoulders and the nape of your neck. And then from here, reaching out through the arms, peel yourself up, sitting back onto your heels, 1 vertebrae at a time, and you're all done. Great job. All right, how are we feeling? We got a lot in those 20 minutes. Tried to cue you as best as possible with modifications and trying out a little bit of everything today. And let's see here. We are like 21 minutes, which is almost exact, but it's great. We want to finish with a stretch. Okay, so let's see here. Love, love, love to hear from so many of you. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for showing up. It is so, so wild to be able to move together and to have this element of like showing up live, finding the impact of 20 minutes. You can see how like, yes, maybe we move a little bit quicker and we don't do like tons and tons of reps of every single exercise, but the way that each one flows into the next forces you to activate a different, deeper layer of muscle is so impactful for long-term in terms of injury prevention. Also just like strength and mobility and all of these things that we love to do here. So if you do have any questions, let's chat. And I think some of you I had some people reaching out saying like, okay, I've been doing the method for a long time. Should I do the fundamentals even though I know the fundamentals? What does that feel like? I think it is so powerful, whether you are brand new or you've been doing this for 5 years, to pull yourself back into these moments where we're doing some moves that aren't necessarily full of a ton of choreography, and really honing in on how the form becomes the entire thing, right? So we're like finding ourselves here. Maybe you're adding the challenge with the hand up on the ball. I threw that in case some of you wanted to have that challenge, but just really being like, okay, can I activate that transverse? Can I mobilize the spine? Can I find that halfway roll without flaring up my hip flexors? Obviously, we can continue to talk about this throughout every class as we go along, which has a bunch of different types of focuses as well. But so much to talk about. So if you do have any very specific questions, please throw them in the chat. We're also doing our giveaway in the chat. So anybody that comments every single day, we'll choose somebody to win some Be the Method swag, and we'll reach out to you. Let's see. Okay, looking forward to the short and sweet challenge to stay accountable. I really think it's such a sweet spot, that 20 minutes of like what it can do. And you can feel how I'm a little, I'm warm, I'm a little sweaty, I'm feeling really good, mobile, activated. Some of those pieces were like, okay, it's a lot of core, even though we're not doing like an hour, right? You don't have to do the hour. You can really get a lot out of these shorter classes. I'm a yogi that thought I was strong, but that was tough. You know what? It's one of those that the method is so, my method is so unique in a way that it adds so many different elements from a lot of different types of workouts and brings it very, very together so that you're tapping into this like deep layer that maybe it's muscles that you've never tapped into before. I always say starting with the fundamentals is a great way to just find like specific, cueing and specific positioning that's very common in Be the Method, like the neutral spine. So if you have any questions about the neutral pelvis and the neutral spine, let me know. Felt amazing. All right, we had some questions about where can I find the schedule. So if you go to the main browse page, and what I'll be doing is every day I will start to put the live up in our main banner up at the top, so you'll be able to see it as like that first thing. So the second this one comes down, it goes up for replay, and then I'll put that new live. But we do have in the programs section, if you scroll down on that main browse page, it'll say 24/7, and you can just go in there. It'll have every single day, every single time, which are kind of all over the place. Tomorrow is actually at 12:30 p.m. And I wanted to do a bunch of different times so that people from our community is all around the world, and I wanted to be able to give some options for different times for everybody. So it'll all be in there. I'll make sure, check your emails as well, because everybody should have gotten an email with the entire schedule this morning. If you haven't been receiving our emails, check your spam as well. New member, first fundamentals class, and I loved it, felt so good. I love to hear this. Slower, meticulous movements definitely add a challenge. Yes, loved the ballerina arms, wonderful release. I love to hear it. It was so fun knowing that so many of us were doing this at the same time in so many locations. It is so cool. I find that to be so, we're all in, I'm in my studio in Brooklyn, by myself here, and just kind of, it's so great to be able to communicate with so many of you and hear how you're feeling, and knowing we're all warm, we're all in our own little space and got this really juicy movement in, and taking that into the rest of the day and really finding the impact of what we can do in here and how it reads into the rest of the day. It is energizing, it feels good, it's strengthening, you feel so strong and open, and I think that type of feeling I want you to continue to take throughout the entire day today until tomorrow when we do this again, Okay, not really a question about the movements today. It's okay. This is such a great chance to talk about anything. So really anything that comes up. I mean, sometimes we get very personal. Sometimes we talk about that specific class and specific exercises. Sometimes it's an upload that's brand new. So please throw everything in here. But I have a hard time doing the ankle to knee stretch. Why is that? And any recommendations how to improve? Yes, so I believe the one you're talking about, Anne, is where we take one over the other and then hinge forward. A great way to do this is you lift your knee up, you place the ball underneath that top knee because it gives you a little bit of support underneath that knee, and hinge forward. So that is always a great modification, or you can just cross it over and do more of a pretzel stretch with the leg crossed over when we do that rotational twist will help. Let's see, just when I needed before holiday shopping, same. Is the weighted ball the same size as the regular ball? It is slightly smaller, but not significant enough where I don't feel like you can swap them out. So it really depends on the amount of inflation that you give it. Sometimes people like it like really hard and stiff, and then that makes it a little bit bigger. Sometimes people like it a little bit more squishy and take some of the air out. So roughly about the same, and they're used interchangeably. So you can really use the 0, the 1, the 2 throughout every class. You can start with a 0, start to get comfortable with the movement, start to feel how, you know, you're holding and controlling the ball. The ball isn't holding you, right? Like that is that element of the ball is making this challenge more so for you. You're finding this positioning, you're finding the squeeze, we're not bouncing off of it, and then progressing slowly into the weighted ball. It's great because it really, like, you know, with over 700 classes on here, you can go back when you have a weighted ball and do all 700, and it changes it completely. And it's pretty cool what that can do. I saw a quick question also about hip flexors. Let me just find that really quickly to make sure I'm answering you properly. I struggle to turn off my hip flexors and have a hard time firing at my glutes. Any suggestions? Yes. In this day and age, with us sitting a ton, with us being on our computers, kind of hunched over, posture-wise is very effective affected from your pelvic floor and your hips. I want you to focus on, first off, getting the pelvic floor really nice and controlled and understanding what it means to strengthen and stretch that pelvic floor. So that will come with breathing. Think about your posture as well. So if you find yourself kind of curling forward, it shortens the hip flexors, causes them to be a lot more tight so that when we're in a position, those want to fire up first. Okay, so what I want you to do, work on glute exercises, so really isolated movements that connect the glute and the core together so that it's in that oppositional direction to build some strength through the backside. And when we find that strength, those start to fire up a little bit, turning off the hip flexors and making them very even. So really it's about kind of this long-term process of not overtraining a muscle, not undertraining a muscle, making sure that they're all functional, working in synergy together so that you don't have one muscle that wants to take over when we're getting into a position. Like you can really start to like turn on a little bit of everything and be like, okay, this is working with this and this is working with that. So it takes a little bit of a longer process in terms of not feeling the hip flexors entirely. And obviously that muscle is something that we really need because it helps you walk and move in that direction. But we want to just find that balance. So consistency with glute, core, deep core, not just like rectus abdominis, right? So I think a lot of people are like, okay, let's do crunches. What that's doing is it's damaging the pelvic floor and straining the hip flexors. So work on more stability movements, like on floor, hands on the floor, you know, lifting up through the core, activating that transverse, and finding that that power and strength of the core will really help support that in the end. Okay, a couple questions on hip flexors. I saw that. Okay, excited to do this right now on replay. Never underestimate the fundamentals series. Yes, I think fundamentals sometimes gets a rep of being like, okay, beginner, brand new, I'm jumping in. It's always good to refresh your mind and your body on what it is that we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it. You know, little tiny tweaks in the body of like, oh, maybe I forgot to think about, you know, my shoulders opening up in this way and feeling that softening of the elbows, not hyperextending there. Maybe I'm going to start to focus in a little bit more on what my elbows are doing in that position or whatever it may be. It's always good for everybody to come back to the fundamentals and do a little refresher. Okay. Okay, thank you for the comments on hip flexors. Yes, this is such a big topic, and we try to talk about this a ton. And really, it's not something that's going to happen completely overnight, right? Because the hip flexors really want to take over for a lot of people. But it really is like the consistency, finding variety, learning how to turn on some other muscles that maybe are a little bit weaker, just to balance it off will just be so great. during the figure eight core movement, I was feeling it a lot in my right hip flexor and had to stop that movement early. Am I doing anything wrong? Same thing applies, right? It's learning how to activate, take some of that energy out of your hip flexors into the core. It might be that you may be like tucking a little bit too much in that pelvis and causing the hip flexors to shorten. It could be that you're also leaning over to one side. You know, alignment is so important. So when we're in that position, we're thinking full body alignment. So when we're rounding back, it's like, oh, am I collapsing in this way? Like some of you may not know, but I have scoliosis. So I'm constantly thinking of like, where is my alignment? Am I leaning and just allowing myself to go over to one side? I can feel that tension and tightness there. And then you want to lengthen out, even out on both sides, so that when we're doing the rotation, we're not just going over to that way. See how I'm like going here and then like that. So really focusing in on that alignment and how you are rotating the body. Scale the movement back super small. Take that ball underneath the lower back. Okay, by no means is that modification any easier or like the easy way out. I really want to emphasize the importance of taking modifications for your body. It actually is so much better. It is better in the long run and it's not easier. So we, you know, oftentimes it's easier to just power through a position that you can't get the form right? So if you are taking the ball behind your back, using your muscles to push down into the ball, but the ball is providing just a little bit more support for you so you feel a little bit more in control or maybe in a little bit more alignment, that will help to then get that alignment going, turn off the hip flexor a little bit, and then really hone in on how we can strengthen the deep core. Okay, so really get those muscles protecting and staying strong. And when we think about the deep core, it's not just abdominals, okay? It's pelvic floor, that under hammock. It is the way that your hips mobilize. It is like every single deep layer of all of the different core muscles and abdominal muscles and that top diaphragm, which is why breathing is so important, right? So holding your breath, tightening through here, not thinking about pelvic floor, only activating that rectus abdominis, which is the six pack, is not deep core. Okay, we want to find all these different layers to really protect the back in that sense. So I hope that helped. When you say use the core, does that mean using the pelvic floor? Okay, great question as well. I try to talk a little bit about very specific muscle groups, and I know in this class, because we have so many people that may be brand new to my method, I was trying to like find a balance of using terminology that might be a little bit easier to understand when you're coming in for one class. But mostly what we do is really talk about different types of muscles and really isolating like one muscle from the next, like transverse, corset muscle, rectus, front muscle, the deep layer of inner obliques, outer obliques, that multifidus. But when we think of deep core altogether and we're thinking about stability of the body and how it's protecting the back, when I say core, it really is that pelvic floor, it's the diaphragm, it's that wrap, it's the inner, it's the whole thing. Just finding like that powerhouse of your body and how that is finding so much stability for every limb that goes outside of it, and you're just creating that strength. So I hope that answers your question as well. Yeah, there's so much to talk about, and I hope you were really I hope you're feeling good. I hope you really allowed yourself to kind of get into the movement. You know, part of this is like that mental piece as well, is scaling back from maybe wanting to power through, especially in a 20-minute class where you're like, oh my gosh, I only have 20 minutes. I want to make the best out of it. I want to do this and this and this. And you start to kind of like get a little quicker. I sometimes can be that way if I'm like, oh, I want to pack in everything in this 20 minutes, but knowing that, not powering through, being very intentional with every movement, finding form, taking it slow. That's where the effectiveness comes. It protects your body into longevity. You get better results that you're looking for. You're not going to burn out and you're not going to get injured. So really keep reminding yourself that of why we are being very present in our body. We're not using music because I want you to really feel like your mind is part of your body here, and we're doing them in unison, and we're working them in unison, and the impact of that. So that's what we're doing. Yeah, comment away here because we will be choosing somebody to win this hat, which I'm very excited about. I love giving you all so many things, and we'll probably be throwing in a lot more than that as well. But if you do have any questions after this, you know, the live streams are up on replay forever, so you'll always have access to this class to come back. If you are doing this one for free and this is kind of your trial class, just know that you can sign up for a 7-day free trial and you'll be able to do our entire program. And I think it really is cool what happens when you stay consistent and you start to find different types of movements and how they kind of build upon each other and the impact of there. So after your free class, if you're up for it, you can sign up for that 7-day free trial and do this whole entire challenge. Everybody that's been with me on the app, I think you know what to expect for the next few days, and I think this is, or the next 6 days. I'm so excited to be able to chat with you every single day. Show up, whether on live or replay. Let me know if you have any other questions, anything else that comes up in your body, anything about the app, movement in general, all of that. I hope you're feeling really, really good. I loved being here with you on a Friday. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Keep this energy going and keep accessing all of these different things that we worked on for posture and core, and just remind yourself of that feeling. Okay? All right. I love you all. I'm going to sign off today. I'll let you go about your day because this will probably be the longest Q&A that we have this whole time, because I know that time is limited, which is why we are doing this challenge. Tomorrow we'll be on for another one. Tomorrow is at 12:30 p.m. I will put that up in our main banner feature there so you can see that and plan for it. And I think it also has a reminder there so you can remind yourself. Emails have the full schedule as well, but it also is in that program section. So any questions, you can always come back and ask me. Alrighty. Love you all, and I will see you soon. I will see you tomorrow, actually. Okay, bye.